Okay. Check, can you see the PPTs or no? Can you see the slide movement, students? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'll begin with the branching statement. Okay, so in branching, so as I have mentioned about the branching over there. Okay, so now please remember. So if you are really interested to take or skip some of the statement. Okay, if you are really interested to skip some of the statements, right? So to skip some of the statement, we usually go ahead with the branching statement. All right. So whenever we are skipping the statement, so depending on the condition, we may skip the statements or we may not follow any condition to skip the statement. Simply we'll be skipping the statements. If we apply the condition and if we skip the statement there, then we call them as the conditional statements. If we don't apply any condition to skip the statement, simply if we are skipping the statement, then we call it as the unconditional statements. Okay, so this is very simple concept that I am dealing with. So I'll repeat my statement. Conditional means if in branching usually we are going to skip some of the statement. How many statement? It is left to you people, right? You may skip only one statement or two statements or multiple statements or block of statement there. So how many statement you are interested to skip? So those many statement you people can skip, but whenever you are skipping, you may apply certain condition. If this condition is true, you are going to skip some of the statement. If this condition is false, you are going to skip some other statements, right? Or some other block of statements. It is left to you people. So it purely depends on what condition you are going to place in that. So if depending on a condition, if you are skipping the statement, then we call it as a conditional statement. If without applying any condition, but if we are interested to skip some of the statements, then we call them as the unconditional branching or the control statements. We are skipping these statements, but I am not placing any condition before I skip these statements. Okay, so if it is true, then I say it is unconditional statements. So now maximum time we avoid usage of the unconditional statement. That too, there are many, so we avoid one of the statement among the unconditional statement, which we are going to avoid. I'll be showing that once we go ahead with the unconditional statement there. So go ahead with the conditional statement. I already mentioned about the conditional statement. Okay, so we have certain condition that we have to place there. Okay, so now this is the condition. I'll not be giving you the syntax because there are multiple ways to write the syntax for the control statement. Okay, so now once we go in depth of that, so that time I'll be giving the syntaxes associated with those control statement used in the C language there. Okay, so now just remember, depending on a condition, because it is mentioned here. Okay, conditional statement means depending on condition, we wanted to skip some of the statements there. So which statement we are going to skip? Again, it is purely depends on the programmer. Okay, so because you have already studied the conditional algorithm there, so you placed a certain condition there, and depending on a condition, if this condition is true, you are going to execute this statement and you are going to skip these statements. If this condition is false, you are going to execute these statements and you are going to skip these statements. You already studied. On that basis, I am trying to explain these things. Okay, so now we are placing a condition depending on a result of a condition there. So some of the statements will be skipped there, right? So which statements? That purely depends on the result of the condition there. So now, okay, so now one more thing. So if it is non-zero result that you are going to get, okay, if you place a condition there, then it is considered to be true. Okay, if it is zero, then we consider it as a false. Okay, if I write condition, okay, if this condition is yielding me zero value, then it is considered to be false. And non-zero value is considered to be a true value there. Okay, this you have to remember. Go ahead with the types of the control statements. One is a two-way selection statement, another one is multi-way selection statements, another one is the ternary statement. Okay, so now we'll go ahead with the first statement, that is two-way selection statement. So there are variety of two-way selection statements that are available in C language. Okay, so those are if statement, if else statement, nested if else statement. Okay, I'll repeat my statement. You have something called as if else statement, if statement, if else statement, nested if else statement, and last one you have something called as the else if ladder statement. Okay, so now we'll study all these things one by one along with the examples. Okay, first I'll give you the syntax, then I'll try to give you the flowchart associated with the individual statement, then we'll take up one example on each of the statements there. If you have any doubts, you people can interrupt me anytime. So first one is if statement. Okay, so now look at this. This is a syntax that we people are using inside the C language. If condition. So whenever I say condition, so please remember the condition may be, second. Okay, so if you look at the condition there, okay, so condition may be expression. So you can write a mathematical expression. You already studied the expression. You have already evaluated the expression. After evaluating, you got some results out of that particular expression also. So whenever we write the condition there, the condition may be an expression. You can write an expression as a part of the condition there. Okay, this you have to remember. Then once the expression is given written by you people as a part of the condition as a condition there, please remember system is going to evaluate your expression there, and the result of that particular expression may be either a 0 or non-zero. If it is 0, then I call it as a false value. If it is non-zero value, then I call it as a true value. This is what, okay, the condition is talking about in case of the multi-way or conditional branching statements. So we are writing condition here. Condition can be an expression here. Okay, so you write any expression which is going to give you a result like either true or false here. Okay, if this condition is yielding me true, then these statements are executed. If this condition is true, these statements are executed. Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and many more statements that are following the if statement are executed. If this condition is false, then what it is going to do? It is going to execute the statement which is following the if statement. I'll repeat my statement. Please listen to me very carefully. Okay, if this condition is true, if it is yielding me a non-zero result, okay, maybe 1 or non-zero result there, then it is considered to be true here. If it is true, then the statements following the if statement are executed. Okay, so these are the statements which are following the if statement. These statements are executed. When these statements are executed, hello, students.
Yes,
when these statements are executed,
when the condition is true.
Very good. Okay. So if the condition is false, then which statements are going to be executed?
Second one.
Pardon?
N plus 1.
I didn't get it. Yes, n plus 1. Okay. The statements which are written after the if statement are going to be executed. This is how you have to say. Okay. The statements which are going to follow the if statement. So here, this is a statement which is following the if statement. So this statement is going to be executed when if this condition is false. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now the flowchart associated with this is this. Okay, this is an entry point for this particular rhombus over here. I am placing a condition. Okay, is condition question mark. Okay, and you already know for this it has got two outcomes. One is a false, another one is a true. If it is true, the statements coming are following the if statement are executed. If the condition is false, then the statement which is following the if statement are going to be executed. I'll repeat my statement. If this condition is true, then the statement which are following the if statement are going to be executed. Then after the execution of these statements, then it is going to execute the statement which is coming after, soon after the if statement. Okay, so this statement is executed. Okay, so now soon after execution of this statement. Okay, whether this condition is true or false, so this statement, whichever statement which is following the if statement is executed. Clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's take simple example on this. C program to find the largest of two numbers using if statement. Okay. How do you say?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you write? How do you write the program for this?
X is greater than Y.
X is greater than Y. Then which is greatest among two numbers?
X.
X is greater.
X is greater. Okay, so let's look into the program here. Okay, so now in this case, I've taken something called as what we call it as large. Okay, and this logic is very important logic that I am speaking to you all. Okay, maximum time whenever you wanted to find the largest among n numbers. Okay, so that time this logic is going to help you a lot. Okay, so that's why instead of taking, so whatever logic you mentioned there, so I took this logic. Okay, so because you are taking care of only two, and there if I am using only if statement, whatever you said is not going to work there. Okay, why it is not working, I'll tell you. So I'll write. Okay, you already know you are reading x and y there. Okay, you are reading x and y. Then you'll check for this condition. If x is greater than y, then you'll say printf. Okay, so printf, I'll write x is greater. If I write y is greater, if I write a number, so let's say, so this is my value 10 and this is 12 here. Which is greater among these two?
Y.
Y. So are you printing y is greater here? You have to use only if
No, ma'am.
statement. If followed by this condition, the
Else.
statement is true, sorry, false, then I am going to, write the, okay, follow the statement which are written after the if statement. If I write here, what you want me to write here? So I'll just exit
Y is
from the
greater.
program. If I write y is greater, okay, let me write printf y is greater. Okay, I'll write like that. Now check it out. How is it going? Is it going to really work or what? So now I'll give this condition. Now I have taken, I'll reverse, I'll 12 and I'll write 10. Okay, we'll check for this condition. What is x?
12.
Y?
12.
Y?
10.
Is x
10.
is greater than y?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. What it is going to print?
X greater than Y.
X is
X
greater
is
than
great.
y. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after this it is going to execute which statement?
It comes out of the loop.
It is coming, it's not coming out of the loop, it is coming out of the if statement. So these are the statements which are going
Else,
to be else. There is no else. I have not written any else here. Have I mentioned anything else in this case?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
No. So I said if this condition is false, this statement is going to be executed. Correct, no? This is a statement that has to be executed. Are you agreeing?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Are you getting what I am trying to convince? Say here. Okay, if this whether this condition is true or false, this statement is going to be executed because this is the statement which is following this if statement here. Okay, whether this condition is true, whether this condition is false, it doesn't matter for this. This has to be executed there. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now look at this. Now you said that 12 is greater here, so it is saying x is greater. So after
Both the
execution of,
statements.
pardon?
Both the statements are executed.
Both the statements are executed, but is it the solution of the problem that I have given there?
No, ma'am.
No. So is it going to work fine?
No, ma'am.
No.
No,
Then what may be the solution for this? They have clearly mentioned, they are not telling us to use if else statement. Okay, they are just telling us to use only if statement. Correct, no? Using if statement, they have mentioned us. Okay, you have to be very careful. You have to read the statement carefully. Then only you can write the program. It is given that you have to find the largest of two numbers only using if statement. How do you write then?
By
You came to
initializing,
know. Pardon?
by initializing value to any other variable.
Very good. So that's what we are doing here. So look at this. What we have done. Okay, we are reading two numbers. Okay, as usual, x and y. Okay, we have taken those things and we are assigning it to one more variable large here. So this logic, please listen to me carefully for this logic. So I'm entering the value of x and y. It is asking me to enter that. I'm entering that. So I'm just assigning that to one of the variables. Any one of these variables you can assign. There is no issue in that. Any one of these two values can be assigned to large. Okay, so I take this as a large. Either you assign large to x or y. It is left to you people. So in this case, I have assigned x value to the large there. Whatever value is there for x, that value is placed inside the large here. Then I am going to check, is y is greater than large or what? Okay, what I am checking is y is greater than large or what? If it is greater than large, then I'll change the value of this large. Now I'm going to change if this is true. If this is true, okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm erasing this and I'm placing y in this place. Okay, whenever, okay, so if this is true, it is going to assign value y to large here. So after doing this, it is going to come out of the if loop and it is going to print some value that is large is equal to large there and it is going to, okay, end the program there. Okay, this is how it is going to work. So let's look into the example. Okay, so now if we look into the example, then only it is going to clear us. So let's look into the example, x and y. So I have something called as large over here. Okay, now look at this. You read some value for x and y.
12, 13.
Little louder. I am unable to hear.
12, 12 and
12,
13.
12.
And 13.
Okay, 12 and 13. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then what you are doing here?
Assigning x to large.
Okay, now you are just placing this value inside this. Okay, this is one of the best logic that usually we adopt to find the largest of n numbers. You give any n value, it is capable of finding the largest of that. If 100 numbers are there, so it is going to pick the largest among 100 numbers, 200 numbers, 1000 numbers, 10,000 numbers, anything. Okay, this logic is going to work. Only what changes you have to make, that will be looking in the later cases, but not now, because we are not talking about the looping statement right now. We are talking about only the conditional statement here, that too if statement. Okay, so now we have only two numbers that I have read, 12 and 13. Okay, but this logic, I am just talking that, I mean saying that you just remember this logic. Okay, so this, you need this in future. Just taken large is equal to x because it is told me to do that. Then I'll check for this condition. What is y value?
13.
13.
What is the large value now?
12.
12.
12. Is 13 is greater than 12?
True.
True,
True or
ma'am.
false? True. If it is true, what you are going to do?
Assign y to large.
So you are
Large value 1.
you are placing y into large. Correct, na? Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
This 12 is,
Yes, ma'am.
12 is erased and 13 you are going to place there. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
only state. This is the only statement that is coming under the if statement here. Okay. Then after this, I am going ahead with the statement which is following the if statement there. So this is the statement which is following if here. So what it is telling me? Print large is equal to what it is printing. For a percentage D, it is printing large value. What is a large value?
13.
13. Is 13 is the largest among 12 and 13?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it working fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we'll reverse the number. Okay, whatever number you have given, we'll try to reverse it. So I'll take again x and y. This is x and this is y. So I'll take this as 13 and this as 12. So you told me to, or here it is told me to assign large is equal to what? Ex. So I'll assign.
13x.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now check for the condition. This is 12, this is 13. Is 12 is greater than 13?
No, ma'am.
False, ma'am.
False. Is it going to execute the statement which is written for this if statement? Is this statement is
No, ma'am.
executed? No, it is skipped.
No, ma'am.
Correct now? Because this condition is false. Therefore, it is skipping this statement. Is this okay to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then what it has to do? It is going to execute printf statement. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what it is going to print now? Large
13.
is equal
Large
to
is 13.
13. Is 13 is the largest among these two numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this logic is working fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So one more statement I wanted to make here. Please listen to me carefully. So whenever you go ahead with this particular, okay, conditional statement or looping statement, any statement that you people are learning. So please look at this. So soon after, if I've opened the brace and I've closed the brace here. Okay, can you see the opening brace and closing brace?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if you have multiple statements, okay, then you write all those multiple statements inside the opening and closing flower parenthesis. Okay, if you have multiple statement. If you have only one statement, no need of usage of this particular opening and closing flower parenthesis. I'll repeat my statement. Okay. So these are the statements that are belonging to this if statement. Okay. If this condition is true, these many statements are executed. Okay. So now let's look into this. These are written inside the flower parenthesis. When do we write these things inside the flower parenthesis? When we have multiple statements to be executed if this condition is true. If I have only one statement, I don't have multiple statement. So in that case, so if you don't use the parenthesis also, it is okay with it. Is that okay? I'll write the condition here. I have only one statement. I'll write statement 1. If this is the only statement that is part of this if, then no need of writing or opening and closing parenthesis after the if statement. When do you don't use the parenthesis?
I have single statement.
Little louder.
When we are using single statement.
Okay. If you have only single statement that is found for if statement there, then so if you don't use, okay, if you use also doesn't matter. Okay, that is again a good habit. But if you don't use also, it doesn't matter. If you have only one statement, but student will always make a mistake that if they have two statements, again they won't use the flower braces there. Okay, please remember. So what I'm trying to say you all, what you people will do, you people will be writing if condition. After writing the condition here, even though two statements are associated with this particular if statement, you won't write the opening and closing parenthesis here. So if you are doing like this, this is wrong. You have to open a brace and you have to close a brace if you have more than one statement. Okay, if you have more than one statement, you must write those statements within a opening and a closing parenthesis. Multiple statements, more than one statement, then you have to write that within a opening and a closing parenthesis. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So look at the thing again. If you look at this if condition, I am not placing a semicolon in front of this. Okay, please remember this is very important for us because we are just writing the condition there. Okay, the result of that is helping us to execute some other statements. So those statements must be ended with the semicolon, not the if statement. So if you look at the statement which are following are written after this particular condition. Okay, look at this. So S1 is ending with semicolon. S2 is ending with semicolon. S3 is ending with a semicolon. But we never place semicolon in front of this by mistake. Also, if you are not supposed to place that semicolon. If you place that, system won't give you any error. System we never throws you any error, but it never checks any condition also. I hope I'm making it clear. It is not throwing any error to you people. It never throws. Okay, so whether you place the condition, okay, if you are placing a semicolon, it is not executing that if statement. Okay, but it is never throwing that error. But you won't get the proper output for that. Is that clear? So I'm just telling you where to use the semicolon, where you are not supposed to use the semicolon. Okay, maximum time we people make the mistake. So that's why I'm convincing, I'm telling this is true for all the if conditions. Whichever if condition you are writing there, okay, because there are 4 if conditions that we are going to deal there. So not a single if is going to end with the semicolon there. But the statements which follow the if statement, which follow the else statement can end, they will end with the semicolon there. Clear? Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with this, okay, this was this was the example that I was showing there. I'll just okay. So look at this program. So I have only one statement that is written for this. Okay, can you see how many statements that I have written for if statement?
One.
Only one statement. That's why I have not used the opening and the closing brace. If you want to use, you people can use. There is no problem in that. And look at this. I have not written semicolon in front of this. Okay, so you are not supposed to place in a semicolon in front of this. This is very important for us. Clear, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so now I'll try to execute the same thing now for you all. Okay, and I try to execute this program now. I'll save this. Okay, there is no issue in this program. Just run this. You give any value for x and y.
10 and 20.
10 and 20. Okay. And 20. Why it is not displaying? Has it taken the value of that? Sorry, I forgot. I have now see here. Okay, this is a mistake that I have done there. Okay, so I have not written the format specifier there correctly. Okay, it never throws any error. It is compiled it successfully. But whenever I am getting the, trying to run this, okay, it is unable to read the data form. It is showing me 1 there. Okay, so now these kind of things will not be, okay, it is human errors. You have to take care of that. So now these kind of errors you'll be facing whenever you run the programs in the laboratory. So that's why I always suggest, okay, please look into the things carefully. Sometimes it never throws the errors. So that you have to take care on your own. Okay. If you make any mistake while doing or typing the scanf statement, for at least scanf, it never throws the errors. So this is a mistake. Rectify it. I'll rerun it. Can you see the result now? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So one more time. So this is now 20 and 10. Whether you reverse it, however you wanted to give, you give, it is going to give you the largest of 2 numbers. Is it okay? Is it okay, students? Yes, okay, so now I'll just put a semicolon in front of this. Let's look into this, what it is going to do. Now it is not throwing any error. Okay. What is the output you can see?
21.
Why
21, ma'am.
Why 21?
Error.
Why 21 it is showing me?
Condition, in front of the condition, the semicolon.
Yes, yes, that is the problem. I hope you understood that, right? But it is not throwing me an error. Okay, that you have to keep in your mind. Okay, because even though you are placing the condition and it is unable to execute that. Okay, now it is showing the correct output. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have to be very careful whenever you play with C language. Okay, so don't simply put semicolon in front of anything wherever you want. Okay, whenever I am suggesting you, you just look into those things very carefully. Clear, students? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'll show you one more stuff. So if you want to open a brace and close a brace for this, so you can write that also inside that. There is no issue. So I'll show that also for you all. Okay, so I've placed these things inside the, okay, so opening and a closing parenthesis. Now I'll compile this, compile it successfully, then I'll run this. Okay, give any number, 15 and 20. So it's giving me the right answer. Is that okay to everybody, students? Say something. So any doubts you can clarify. Please remember, don't put semicolon in front of the if. By mistake also if you put, okay, so that's not going to execute that particular condition statement there. Right? So whatever value you are going to place inside the large, it is going to place that. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please take care of the simplest thing. Okay, but we always forget those things. Right? So writing the ampersand before the X whenever you are using a scanf, and whenever you are using a format specifier, forgetting of writing the percentage there. Okay, so these things we always forget. So please take care of those things. Otherwise, C becomes erroneous kind of stuff there. Okay, whenever you are asking it to give the result, it is executing the program, but it's not giving you the right result there. So any query with this particular stuff? If statement? Simple if statement. I have used only if statement. If the condition is true, what I am going to do? I'm not worried about if the condition is not true, and I know what is, what is the meaning of if statement there. I'm taking care that only if statement, and so maximum, people prefer this also for their programming. Is it okay? So any
Yes,
query
ma'am.
related to if statement, only if statement. Any queries you people can talk, otherwise we'll go ahead with the next one. Okay, so I hope you don't have any issues. So next one is if else statement. Okay, so there we checked for only trueness of the condition there, right? In this case, we'll check for both the things. So I'll check if the condition is true, what we are going to do, and if the condition is false, what we are going to do. But this was not the case with the simple if there. We worried about only if the condition is true. Okay, now we are bothered about both the stuff. If the condition is true, what I am going to do. If the condition is false, what I am going to do. Right? So look at this. See here, this is the syntax that we people are using. What is the syntax? Same thing. If the condition is true, okay, if the condition is true, so these many statements, the block of statement, okay, which are following this particular if statement are going to be executed. If this condition is true, the statements which are following are written inside the flower parenthesis are going to be executed. If this condition is, then it is going to execute the statement which is our statements which are following the else statement. Is that clear? If this condition is true, okay, then the statements which are following this if statement are executed. If this condition is false, then the statements which are following the else statement are going to be executed. So in either case, okay, so any one of the block is executed. Either the first block is executed or the second block is executed. Whether the first block is executed or the second block is executed, this block or this block, that purely depends on the result of this condition. Okay. If this condition is true, then which statements are executed?
Accepting the else.
Now, which statements are executed?
The former one. If.
The statements which are following the if statement are
If.
executed. Those are S11, S12, S13 up to S1N. These are the statements that are executed. When? If the condition is true. If the condition is false?
Else.
Else part. Okay, so
The
these
statements
statements.
of else.
Very good. These are the statements which are written for this else are executed. Again, look at the thing. Okay, if condition, so don't put any semicolon in front of this. Again, in front of else also don't put any semicolon. If condition else. Again, if I look into the statement here, if, please remember, case sensitive, don't write capital I there, okay, capital E there, okay, that is not acceptable. If, I'll write a condition here. If I have only one statement, I'll write that statement and I'll end here. Again, I'll write else here. If I have only one statement that is written for else, I'll write only one statement and I'll just put a semicolon. need of writing the opening and a closing parenthesis for a single statement. If you have single statement there, no need of writing the opening brace and a closing brace there. Is that clear? But if you have more than one statement associated with if statement or else statement there, you have to write that within the opening and closing flower parenthesis. Clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the flowchart for the same thing I'll be now explaining. So you are placing a condition. How do you place? Is the condition question mark? So again, I have two outcomes for this. One is the true, another one is false. If it is true, then the statements which are following the if, okay, are executed. We call it as a true block statements that are yes 11, yes 12, yes 13, and so on. If this condition is false, okay, so then it is going to execute the statements which are following the else part of it. So yes to 1, yes to 2, yes to 3, yes to 4, and so on. So at any given instant of a time, either these block of statements are this block of statements are executed. Not both. Please remember, it is not executed after executing this, it is not executing these statements. Or after executing these statements, it is not executing these statements. That is not true. Okay, because we know that the condition is yielding me either true or false result here. If it is true, then these statements are executed. These are skipped. If this is false, then these are skipped, these are executed. Clear? Clear, students?
Ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me. Hello? 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 Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Now, I'll ask one simple question. If let's assume this condition is true, okay, then which are the statements that are executed?
Under the if
Correct?
Yes, one,
Under
one,
the
yes, one,
condition of
yes,
if.
one.
statement
Correct,
under
na?
if.
Okay. So after executing yes one n statement, which is the statement that has to be executed then?
Statement
The
X.
print
Statement X.
Very
and
good. Okay. The statement which is following the else, if else statement, that has to be executed. After executing these statements, if this condition is true, these statements are executed. After execution of these statement, it is going to execute the instruction which is following the if else ladder. If else statement there. If this condition is false. Yeah, tell me if
Statements
yeah.
under else part.
else.
Else statements.
Okay. The statements under the else part are executed. Correct? So after execution of these many statements, okay, so which statement is going to be executed then?
Statement X, ma'am.
Statement X.
Very good. Okay, so that you have to remember. Okay, so this is a statement, or the maybe many more statements may be there. So these are the statements that are going to be executed soon after the execution of either these statements or these statements. So I hope I made it clear. So this is the flowchart how it looks. That's why we have connected it to the statement X over here, because after successful execution of this, we'll be following the statement X, or after successful execution of these statements, we are going ahead with the statement X here. So any doubt regarding this? Hello?
No, ma'am.
No,
Okay. Now try to write the program for this. Now you'll tell the program to me. I'll write a program according to that. You have to use else if or if else. You already studied
Read
this, even and odd. You know the logic, everything. You just tell me the program, I'll write the program according to that.
we have to tell
Hashing,
whole program.
Pardon?
Okay, ma'am.
You want to
You
tell
go
only
ahead.
logic? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Hash include
Yesterday I have
STD
that.
stdio.h. Okay. Main. Okay.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
it should carry data type. We are using
It should carry.
data type. We are using
No,
some data.
Where I have to write that?
Int main.
Int main. Why int main?
we aren't returning any value.
So anyhow, I'll be returning 0. If you want me to write int 0, I'll be writing int 0 there, but I have to use the last statement as return 0 there.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Int
Int
n.
n.
Only this. Printf
Okay, that printf is okay. Okay, you will ask me to read the number. Then
scanf
scanf.
Enter
format
Percentage D.
d
Percentage d.
n
ampersand
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 n.
And percent N.
Okay. Next.
if
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 n modulus
n is
2
N modulus
n modulus
2
2
equal
2
equals 0,
equals to
equals to 0.
0. Okay.
printf
printf
How many statements you wanted to write for if statement? One statement is
one
there or multiple statements are there?
one statement.
one.
Only
One
one
statement.
statement. Do you want me to use the open brace for this or you don't want me to use that?
Don't want to.
Don't
Okay.
want.
Printf
Printf uh, percentage d
percentage d
is an even number.
is an even number. What is percentage d now?
N
N man, comma
N.
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 Right. Okay. What is else part of
else
it?
Printf
Else printf.
Printf
Hmm.
percentage is
not
Okay.
an even
Percentage
number.
d not
not
an
even
even number or a
no
odd
odd.
number.
odd number.
Odd number.
Is it done? Is it okay?
Yes,
So after this, I don't have to write anything there. I'm just closing the brace here. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
any query in this?
No, ma'am.
Right. So now
No,
you
ma'am.
already know the algorithm. You have just translated that into a program. Okay, look at the program. Int printf enter the number percentage d ampersand num there. Okay, so you are checking for the condition there. If this condition is true, you are saying it's a even number. Otherwise, you are saying it's a odd number. Clear? Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
okay? So any doubt
Yes,
in
ma'am.
this? Any doubt in this?
No, ma'am.
Have any doubts you people can
No,
ask?
ma'am.
No? Okay. So have the next concept called as the nested if else. Okay. What do you mean by nesting?
Combining
Combining. Any other answers?
joining
Joining. Okay. Okay. So in this case, nested means if within a if. Okay. So you have one more condition within the if part or else part there. You have if and else part here. Within this if, you wanted to write one more condition there. Then we call it as nested if. Okay, inside this else, we wanted to write one more condition there. Okay, so if we are able to write the condition within the else if there or if else there, then we call it as a nested if. If else within the if else. Okay, the condition written within the another condition is called as a nesting of the conditions. Is it okay? So I'm going to write multiple conditions. I'm not happy with single condition. I wanted to check for multiple conditions there. And in that case, then how do I write that? Okay, for that I'll be going ahead with what we call it as nested if else. Is it okay, students? Nesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Condition within a condition. Okay, I'm not be checking for one condition. I'll be checking for multiple conditions. Right? So I'm going to place one condition within the outer if. Okay, I have one if there. Within that if, I am going to write one more if else statement. In else also, I am going to write one more else if, or if else statement there. So I'm going to place multiple conditions. Sometimes one condition may not give me the proper result. Okay, so in that case, I'll be going ahead with the nesting of the conditions. Clear? Is it clear, students? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's look into the syntax of that. Okay. So now this is the thing done how it looks like. So I have the condition, right? If condition. If this condition is true, so now what statement I am going to execute? I am entering into the if statement. Here, I have one more if condition. Okay, I am not directly executing any statement here. I have, one more condition that is placed here. If this condition is true, I am going to check for this condition. Okay, if this condition is also true, then it is going to execute the statement one written for this inner, if condition here. Okay, the meaning of this is S1 condition, S1 statement is executed if this condition 1 and condition 2 are true. I'll repeat my statement. The statement 1, okay, statement 1 is executed if condition 1 and condition 2 are true. Is it okay? Is it
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
students? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So next is I have else written for this if. So this else is for this if condition. Okay, this condition is true. That's why I'm inside the if. Okay, then I'll check for this condition. If this condition is false, if it is true, then S1 is executed. If this condition 2 is false, then what it is going to do? It is going to execute S2 statement. Is it okay? When it is going to execute S2 statement? When it
And
is going to
condition
execute, which condition is
condition
false?
2 is false, ma'am.
Very good. What about condition 1?
True,
What
ma'am.
about, yes, okay,
ma'am.
that you have to remember. The first condition is still true, only the second condition is false. Then I am going to execute statement 2 there. Is that clear, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, if the condition 1 is false, if the condition 1 is false, if this condition is false, where should I go?
Condition 3.
Condition 3.
Correct. So I have to go to else part of this particular outer if. So these are the inner statements, condition statements for this if. Okay, because I have written everything inside this opening and closing parenthesis related to this if here. Now I am going to else. This else is written for the false of condition 1 here. Right? So condition 1 is false. Where I am going? I am going to else part here. Inside this else also I am checking for one more condition. If this condition is true, then which statement is executed?
Yes, 3,
S3.
ma'am.
S3. Okay. Now my question is, when S3 is executed?
Condition 3 is true, ma'am.
Condition 3
Condition.
true.
Only condition 3 is true, then S3 is executed.
And
And
condition 1
condition
is
1
false.
is false.
Very good. Okay. Condition 1 is false. Condition 3 is true. Then only statement 3 is executed. Is that clear, student?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
This logic you have to, remember. Okay. You need to remember these things. Okay. Whenever you go ahead with the nested if statements. Next, the condition 3 is false. Okay. Condition 3 is false. Then it is going ahead with the else written for this if. Okay, this is the S4 statement that is going to be executed. When S4 is executed, when this condition 3 is false.
False.
Okay, when S3 is executed,
Condition 3 is false and also condition 1 is also
very
false.
good. Okay, when condition 1 and 3 are false, then S4 statement is executed. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this you have to remember. So I have the if statement here. Inside this if, I have one more if. Okay, this is condition 1. If this condition is true, I'll check for condition 2. If this condition is also true, then I'm going to execute S1. Okay, else, this is for this else. If this condition is false, then I'm going to execute S2 there. Okay, and the condition 1 is true, the condition 2 is false, then S2 is executed. If condition 1 is true, condition 2 is false, true, then S1 is executed. So these are the statements that I am writing for the if condition. For else, so I'll check for one more condition, if C3. So again I have S3 here, else S4. So these are written for the else part. If the condition C1 is false, then it will check for condition 3. If this condition is true, then S3 is executed. If this condition is false again, okay, if I look into C1 condition here, if it is false, then it will check for the condition 3. This is also false, then it is going to execute S4 written for the else part. Is that clear, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. When the condition 1 is false or true, after successful execution of the statement 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, where it is going to go then, or which are the statements that are going to be executed?
Statement
Statement
X.
X.
Is that clear, students? So after that, it is going to execute the statement that is written after the if statement, nested if statement. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's look into the flow chart here. What flow chart talks about? Okay, you have the condition. So this is the condition that I have placed. Again, it has got two outcomes. One is the true, another one is false. If it is true, again I am checking for a condition. This is the inner condition. If it is true, then statement 1 is executed. So this is true, then statement 1, and then. Is that clear, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If this condition is true, but condition 2 is false, then
S2.
S2 is executed.
S2 is executed, then statement X is
Statement X.
executed. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If this condition is false,
Condition 3.
it is going to check for the condition 3. If condition 3 is true,
S3.
S3
S3
is
is
executed.
executed, then it is going to execute the statement following the else if, the nested if statement. If this condition is false,
S4 is executed, ma'am.
if both the conditions are false, then S4 is executed and then following the statement X. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so on this basis, we'll take one simple example and we'll wind up this. Okay, I'll take simple example for this. Okay, so C program to find the largest of three numbers using else if statement. Okay, in this case, if you take nested if else statement or nested else if or if else statement, then only it is going to work there. Okay, how do you say? Okay, if I take three numbers X, Y and Z here. Okay, so among these three numbers, how do you say which one is the largest among these three numbers? Hello? I have three numbers X, Y, Z. Right, so I'll write it as 10, okay, 12 and maybe 15. So which one is the largest among these three?
15, ma'am.
How do you say? How do you say 15 is largest?
Than equal to 12.
So every number is compared with other numbers. Okay, if I take here, okay,
15
this
is
I'll be,
greater than 10.
this will be checked with this also, this will be checked with this also. If it is true in both the cases, then only it is going to say it is a largest number. If any one of those two condition is failed there, so instead of this, if I write this as 9 here, okay, so then, so I'll be saying 12 is the largest number. Correct? So 12 is, because I know that this number is compared with this number, okay, so this is false there. So if it is false, so I have written a nested if condition there, so it will check for another condition. If that in that condition, it will check with another value there. If it is true there, it is going to print the which one is the largest among those three stuffs. How do we do that? Okay, simple logic, not much, I mean, too much to worry for this. That is, if I write here, if x greater than y. Okay, three numbers, x, y, z here, or ABC. You want me to take ABC or x, y, z is okay?
XYZ is okay, ma'am.
Okay, right. If this condition is true, okay, which is largest among these two?
X, ma'am.
X, no?
X, ma'am.
Right? Okay. So next, what I have to check? I know that in this case, if it is true means x is larger among these two numbers. X is greater than
Y.
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 Correct? Okay. Next, with what number I have to check this number now?
With Z.
Z. Correct, no?
Y.
I've already checked with y. I know that this is greater than x. Sorry, greater than y. Correct? What is
Yes,
the true
ma'am.
condition of this? X is larger, no? X is already greater than y.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Right? So I have to check with y now. Sorry, I have to check with z now. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How do I place the condition then?
Yes, ma'am.
How do I place the condition?
If X greater than Z.
X is
Very good.
greater.
Ma'am, what if we can take it together?
Together in the sense?
If x greater
By
than
using
y, double ampersand, x greater than z.
So one thing, what happens in
Not
that case, it is not serving the purpose of nested if. They tell us to use the nested if statement there, then I am unable to use that.
yeah.
I hope you got that.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
if they specifically mention us, you have to use the nested if statement to find the greatest of three numbers. So that case, it is not serving my purpose there.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Okay. Next. So x is greater than y. Okay. And if this condition is true, then only I am going to enter into this. I'll check for this. Is x is greater than z? May be true, may not be true. If it is true,
Statements.
X is greater.
correct? So you will be printf x is greater
Large.
or
Great.
greatest. Correct? Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
Yes,
okay?
ma'am.
Right. What
Yes,
is
ma'am.
else part of it?
If X,
Yeah.
Y greater than
Z
Z.
is
What
x
If
is
is the
Y,
smaller
else?
than z.
What is else condition of this?
X
Y
x
is
is
greater
smaller.
than X, ma'am.
You are not understanding. What is else
It is
condition of this? If
Z is greater.
x is
Z is
z
greater.
is
z
greater,
is greater.
correct?
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
this
Yes.
condition is false. Correct. This condition is false. But what about this condition? Outer condition. What about outer condition? C1 condition.
Z is
X is
greater than X, ma'am.
I'm asking you what is the outer, I mean, status of the outer condition? X greater than y. Is it still true or false?
false, ma'am.
False, ma'am.
Why false?
It is true, ma'am. It is true.
It is
Outer
still
condition
true
is
only.
true
It's true.
and
This
inside
condition is
condition is
only
false.
false. Only this condition is false. Is that okay? Because I
Yes.
am inside the if statement itself. This if only. So this is condition is still true only. True means x is greater than y only. Correct? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
X is
ma'am.
still x is greater than y. But in this case, this is false. False means z is greater than x. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
z is greater than x means what should I print at the else part there?
Z is greatest.
Z is greatest.
Yes, ma'am.
Z is greatest.
Yes, ma'am.
Then are you not checking this with the y there? You have only checked with z, x here. Z is checked with only x. Okay. Are you not interested to check this z with y?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
how it is?
You have
How
to
we are
check.
checking? But you are checking it. You are saying it as z is greatest. How do you say z is greatest there?
Ma'am, outside the loop,
Outside the loop in the sense?
we can check the condition y is greater if y is greater than z outside the loop, ma'am. Means outside the if loop that.
Okay. So now I'll tell you one simple thing here. So now when do I enter into this if statement?
When the condition is true, x is
Greater
greater than y.
Correct. When x is greater than y, then only I am entering into this. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. What this is telling me?
Means
What this
the
condition, false of this condition is telling me?
Z is greater.
Z is
False is
greater
Y
than,
is greater than X.
I'm just asking you,
z is greater than x, ma'am.
what is the false condition of x greater than z? Tell me the
Uh,
Z
false
is
condition.
greater, ma'am.
Z is greater than x?
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Correct? No, this is a false condition of this. Do you agree for that?
Yes, ma'am.
What about
Yes,
the
ma'am.
outer condition? What about the outer condition? Still it
X
is
is
true
greater than
only?
y. Yes,
Still it
ma'am.
is true
Yes,
only?
ma'am.
Correct?
Yes,
Correct,
ma'am.
no? Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
now this statement is telling me that x is already greater than y.
Okay, ma'am.
Correct? This is
Yes.
telling me z is greater than x. So internet is cross verified that it is greater than y only.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I am trying to convey to you all? Z is greater than x means in turn z x is already greater than y because if it is true only I am entering into this. Correct. So I checked already x is already greater than y. That's why I am inside this. Now z is greater than x means z is greater than x as well as z is greater than y. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is how the nested loop works. I hope I made it clear. Still have any doubts? Okay, please don't keep anything in your mind. You please ask me. Have any doubts, you throw it to me. I gave very simple concept here. Okay, because first condition is x is greater than y. Meaning is that x is already greater than y. It is true. Then only I am entering into this if statement. Okay. Now I'll check for this condition. If x is greater than z means, okay, if x is greater than z. Okay, if this condition is true, what does it mean? X is greater than z means what is the meaning of that?
X is larger, ma'am.
Correct, no? How do you say x is larger? You are checking x is greater than z or what? So it is true now and you already checked here. X is already greater than y. Meaning is that x is greater than y also. X is greater than z also. Correct, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Correct?
ma'am.
Then only I'll say it is x is largest. Otherwise, I cannot say. I have to check with each and every number there. I am doing the same thing. I have checked with y. I am checking with z here. Here both the condition are true. That's why I am writing it as x is largest. But this condition is true. This condition is false. That time I'll be saying z is greatest because I know that z is greater than what is false condition of x greater than z?
X.
Z is greater than
Z
X, ma'am.
is greater than x. But what is the outer condition here?
X is greater than Y, ma'am.
Correct, no? This is the outer condition, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So can I say Z is greater among, amongst these three values?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is very important question. Maximum time this question will be asked. Write the flow chart or write the program for this. Okay, I've shown you only if part. Now I'll show you the else part. Okay, if you are clear with this, then I'll go ahead with the else part. If you have any doubts, you can throw it to me. Do you have any doubts regarding this?
No, ma'am.
No. So shall we go ahead with the else part?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Right. So I'll show you the else part. If I have already done with x greater than y, I have so many stuffs. I'll go ahead with the else part. Inside else, again, I'll be checking for a condition. When do I go to else part?
X is less than Y.
X is
Correct?
less
Yes,
than Y.
x is less. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
what I'm going to check here. So this is telling me, else is telling me that y is greater than x there. This else is telling me that y is greater than x, correct now?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now what I have to check now?
Z is greater than Y.
Z is greater than y or y is greater than z?
Y
Y
is
is
greater
greater
than Z.
Correct na? We'll check for y is greater than z because y is already greater than x. Now I'll check for is y is greater than z or what? If it is greater,
Print Y is greatest.
correct? Is it okay? Acceptable?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first condition is false. That is y is greater than x there. Then I'll check for whether if y is greater than z or what. Then in this case, y is greater than x also. Y is greater than z also. Then I'll print y is greatest. Else part of it.
Z is greatest.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Z is greatest.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how the statement or the nested if works. I show you the complete program. Look at the complete program. This is the complete program. So I'll read out the numbers, then you will understand. You give me the number, suitable number, so that I can tell you. A. Read the numbers. Make it fast. A.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay. What is A?
Is 1.
B.
2.
Is this condition is true?
False.
No, ma'am. False.
No. Where should I go?
False.
Where should I
Else.
go?
Else.
There are
Else
so
part.
many else written. There are so many else written. Where to go? Whether to this else or this else or this
B
else.
is
Yes,
greater than
ma'am.
C.
After the loop.
B is greater than.
Shall I go here?
E greater than.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we know that
Yes.
B is greater than A here. Correct. So this else is telling me that B is greater than A. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll check for this. B is 2. C is 3. Is B is greater than 3?
False.
False, ma'am.
Where should I go?
Else.
Else. So I'll go to else part. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
What it is printing?
3.
C is larger, ma'am.
C is larger. Is C is larger among these three numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you got the right result there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Check with any data there. Give some other data.
3,
Can
2,
I take
1.
a reverse?
1.
3, 2. Huh? Yeah, tell me.
2, 1, 3.
1 second. 2.
1, 3.
Okay. So A is,
2.
B is
1.
1.
1.
Is 2 is greater than 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
True.
Where should I go?
Inside the loop.
Inside the loop.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll check for this
Yes,
condition.
ma'am.
What is A?
A is 2,
What about
2, ma'am.
C?
3.
Is it
3,
true?
ma'am.
Is it true?
False, ma'am.
False.
Where should I go?
Else part.
Else part.
Else. Okay, I'll go to else part. Okay. So among these two number, which is largest?
C.
C is
C is
larger.
the largest. Correct. Are you getting the correct value?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look at this. A is already greater than B. Okay, A is greater than B. 2 is already greater than B there. A is greater than B. Okay, no need of checking this with again C there because I'm just, sorry, another number there. B, C, if you look at the C, I'm not checking. I'm checking with only A there. Why I'm only checking with A? Because A is already checked with B there. That's why I'm not rechecking whether C is greater than B or what. Am I checking something like C is greater than B or what?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, because this condition is already have placed outside. If this condition is true, then only I'll go ahead with this. Okay, if this condition is true means A is already greater than B, then I'll only cross verify another number with only this A. Okay, if A is either greater than this particular C, if it is greater, then I'll say A is largest. If it is not greater, then I'll see C is the largest. I'm comparing this C with only A because A is already cross verified with B here. I hope I made it clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Still have any doubts related to this, you people can ask me before I close the today's session. You give any number, okay, it's going to work fine. So you have any doubt in writing this program? Okay, I have not written much here. I've just showed you this is the if else written inside the another if else. That's all. Nesting. Nesting means loop. I mean condition within a condition. I placed this condition. Okay, I have placed this condition within the outer condition. This condition because it is also a part of a condition here. So condition within a condition is called as nested if. Is it okay? Please feel free to ask the questions. Don't hesitate. If you have not understood anything related to this, please don't hesitate. Any bit is not understood by you people, you can ask me. And this is the best logic I have given to find the largest of three numbers using a nested if statement. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask the questions. Hello?
No.
Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Okay, so if you don't have any doubts, so I'll close today's session. Okay, so sorry for the delay because of rain and network problem was there. Okay, I was unable to connect to the Teams there, right? Okay, that was a problem. Okay, so sorry for the delay and okay, so now I wasted maybe your time here today. Okay, sorry for that. Right, so now please, okay, so now